guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ken, and today we're here to review The Strangers Chapter 1, the first in a planned trilogy. There's going to be 3 of these Stranger sequels. Are you ready?
Oh boy, I'm ready.
Are you ready? But we're going to be talking about the first installment. Did it live up to expectations? Which this movie had very little expectations. It was not very well received by critics or audiences, but we watched it because we were curious. We're here to give our thoughts today. Before we get into it, though, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We review movies, TV shows. We do fun, entertaining live streams every Monday night as well. And also,
that's right, like the video.
Like the video, like she said. And then comment down below, did you see The Strangers Chapter 1? Did you see it in the theaters? Did you watch it on VOD? I got this nice 4K Walmart Steelbook right here. And it is out on physical media now. Blu-ray 4K Steelbook, so all the things. But let us know in the comment section below. Okay.
Yeah.
The Strangers Chapter 1. So like I said, expectations were very low for this movie. And sometimes that can help a movie, I think.
Yeah.
So what were your general thoughts on this film?
Yeah, I don't remember being too excited when I saw previews for this movie.
No, the trailers are bad, honestly.
Yeah, and then once it came out, like you said, people were saying that it was just terrible and not good, and so obviously really didn't care to see it at that point. But yeah, when you came home with that steelbook, I'm like, Jesus, why did you buy that when you know that this movie is known for not being good?
This could be a little crossover video because I actually did a video on my channel just kind of explaining why I bought this steelbook. But also because I knew we could watch it together and also review it, whether or not it was good or it was bad. It could at least make for an interesting review on the channel.
I can think of a lot of movies that you always tell me we're gonna wait for streaming.
Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, all that to say, my expectations were very low as well, and I feel like it pretty much ended up being what I thought. Yeah. I will say I feel like this movie is god awful, and I will say I don't think it's that bad. I feel like that there are some, good things about it.
Are you a fan of the original Strangers? Because we watched it back in the day. Did you remember enjoying that?
I don't. I don't remember really. I don't remember watching it.
I remember we watched it one time, and I remember thinking it was just okay, but I never really felt the need to revisit it. So
I would definitely need to rewatch it again. I mean, I've probably only seen it once, and it was then, a long time ago.
I am getting it on 4K later this year because it's coming out. But I watched The Strangers Pray at Nights, which was the sequel in the theaters, and I actually remember thinking that one was better than the original Strangers, but I still haven't rewatched that. So I'm not a huge fan of this franchise in general. So going into this, I was just like, okay, it's another Strangers movie, and that's pretty much what it was. It's almost a remake, I think, of the original Strangers. I don't think it has any attachment to the original in any way.
Yeah, it didn't appear to have any kind of connection or anything.
It's a couple going to a cabin and it gets stalked seemingly at random, but I'm assuming that because there's a chapter 2 and a chapter 3, there's going to be more to the story later on.
Yeah, I mean, I personally like home invasion type movies.
Yeah.
I think that when done right, they are really good and enjoyable and creepy because who can't relate to someone breaking into your home. So I typically do like those, and so I feel like that just enjoying those in general probably gives this movie a little bit of an upper hand, at least for me. And then kind of just going into, since this movie is known for not being great, I'll kind of just go into what I think is good about this movie, besides it being a home invasion or, even though this isn't their home. Same kind of thing.
Same scenario.
But I will say this movie looks really good. It's shot really well. I just felt like it, again, just looked really good to me. And I don't even necessarily know all the lingo and stuff for.
Yeah, good cinematography. I mean, it's an accomplished director making this. Rennie Harlan, he's been around the block. He directed a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. He directed a Die Hard sequel, Cliffhanger, Deep Blue Sea, the shark movie. He's done a lot of movies in the 90s.
Gotcha.
Hasn't really had a huge hit, I would say, in the past 10, 15 years, but
yeah. So yeah, I will say that I felt like the movie looked good. But
there's one shot in particular that I liked that I didn't even notice it until you pointed it out when we were watching it, but it's when she's playing the piano and You can kind of see one of the
Yeah.
strangers in the mirror. Not to spoil anything, but
Yeah.
it was a cool shot.
I will say I had recognized the girl right away. I did have to like look up what it was that I recognized her from because I could not remember the name of it. But
I just knew she was in a CW show.
It was a show called Riverdale.
Yeah.
We tried to watch it, didn't get very far into it. So I recognized her. Her boyfriend was not good at all. He was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I remember looking him up, and he hasn't really been in anything. So.
Yeah, his name's Ryan Bown. I almost said Brown, but it's Bown.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know anything. I haven't seen him in anything else, and hopefully I never see him in anything else again.
Yeah, he's not
I'm
good
just
in
joking.
it.
He might be fine. He might have a bright future ahead, but the future Glenn Powell, who knows?
Oh, doubt that.
Never know.
Yeah, I don't know. You want to say anything? I feel like I'm talking too much.
I do want to get into why I think this movie's getting a lot of grief from people. And the big thing with me is these characters are extremely dumb. And it's like a trope of the genre for characters to do the dumbest things possible to put themselves in peril and in bad situations. But they seem to make the dumbest decisions like at every single turn in this movie. Like, somebody's outside stalking the house and then you go take a shower. Like that kind of stuff. Just stuff that doesn't make any sense to the point where it almost feels like a parody of home invasion movies. So that's where I think that people's disdain for this film's kind of coming in, because the characters do feel a little more dumb than usual.
Okay, interesting.
That, to me at least. Now you could go back to the 80s and there's some really dumb slashers with characters making really dumb decisions. So this is something that's been going on for years. But I just think that the modern audience is kind of over that at this point. Like we don't have the tolerance for that kind of stuff anymore. We want more with our horror films. So this one just kind of takes it back to those stupider tendencies of the older horror films of the past.
Yeah. I don't feel like you really get to know the two main characters very well. I mean, you kind of know that they've been together for a while. You
just know the guys like waited too long to pop the question. Like that's the big trait with the couple, I feel like.
Yeah, that's I feel like a big part of their relationship is that they've been together for several years and he still hasn't proposed. So
and that comes in like towards the end in the most cheesiest way possible that you could think of, I think.
Yeah. So, I just don't feel like you really get to know them that much. And again, maybe that's not all that important, but I feel like if you're not gonna be like character driven or something, then you need to like really impress us with the other stuff, and they didn't do that either.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just I didn't get anything from it.
What did you think of the strangers themselves? You think that they look good? Did they creep you out? Were they scary or threatening to you in any way, or were you just kind of like, eh?
No, not really. I feel like I've seen those masks a million times. And
is Tamara home? Didn't she say that in the original? I think.
Oh, I don't know.
She did.
I don't know. But yeah, not very scary. Again, there were some moments where the I don't know if you'd call him a baghead or what he is.
Yeah, he's kind of a baghead, almost like a rip off of like Baghead Jason or something.
Yeah, there are some moments where he would be in this. I feel like he was scarier than the other.
He's big and threatening and lumbers around. So
yeah, so but overall, just not very scary. And again, like the writing's not great. There's a lot of like odd choices with different dialogue and like expressions and just
awkward things that happen, like when she offers him a drink or something and he just like holds up the beer and he's like kind of gives her this weird facial expression. That was kind of weird. We were just kind of laughing at certain things that would go on throughout.
Yeah, just not the most,
Some loose ends. I know you were pointing out some loose ends that kind of came up and they never really addressed. But I do want to say there are two more. Do you think it's possible that they can salvage this movie with the next two? Like maybe make it better, recontextualize some things?
I think that the best that they could do is kind of make us forget about chapter 1 for the most part, and then just kind of, I do think it's possible that they could just, try to just wow us a little bit better with some more, better
So you
dialogue,
you think
better.
they should do an Exorcist, a Believer, and just forget it ever happens? Get a new director, bring him in. You know.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying let's.
I actually don't even think that's possible because I believe they've shot them all. I think
Right.
Rennie Harlan's already made them. So this one was just, I don't know, it was just kind of bland, and it was nothing we hadn't seen before. You know,
Yeah.
we've seen all this stuff before, and we've seen it done better, like with movies like Hush and You're Next, I would say, are probably like the gold standard for this genre, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you want to rate it? You want to slap a score on it? Are you ready for that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't feel like this is horrible. Like I said, I feel like it is watchable, and if anything, it was kind of like a hate watch a little bit.
Yeah.
Where you can kind of just like make fun of it, and I don't know, wasn't terrible. So I'm gonna actually give it a 3 out of 5.
Okay. Well, 3 out of 5, huh?
Yeah.
You know what? This one's tough. I'm gonna give this a 2.5 out of a 5. I just don't think it's a very good movie, but I also didn't hate watching it. It's just, sometimes you gotta watch the bad movies to appreciate the good ones. So I'll give it a 2.5 out of a 5. I think I feel comfortable doing that.
Okay.
For The Strangers Chapter 1. But that's our review. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, leave us your thoughts on the film if you've seen it in the comment section below. Turn on bell notifications for all future videos and reviews, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.